I hope my opening statement is better than our opening to the game, because the first 14 minutes were woeful, and we certainly got it flipped. It ended up being a 6-minute mark. I think the under 8 timeout, there was a message sent to the team, and the message was thankfully delivered and accepted by the team, and our play improved. It wasn't a game about X's and O's. We told the guys that this was going to be a game about effort, energy, physicality, and matching kind of fire with fire. We certainly didn't do that the first 14 minutes, and I think for the most part after that we did. And so I was excited to see that. I do think it's a mark of a more experienced team to be able to have adversity like that, be down 18, and then respond to it. And so I was certainly pleased with that. And a lot of different guys contributed in different ways. Denzel Watts, Lewis Sullivan off the bench were fantastic. And then Robert Brown was very, very good. Chris Coakley was very, very good. And it was really a full team effort.
Talking about that 6-minute mark, if my math's right, I went on to outscore 63-35 from that point on. What, other than the energy and the effort, what started to work defensively? What adjustments were made to help that out?
Well, we started the game in man, which is our base defense, and we were awful. And so we ended up changing the zone, try and get a little bit more energy or a different look and see if that would work, and that was equally as bad. And so we went back to man, and I probably have a few more gray hairs after that timeout. And then, but there was no change. It wasn't a change in philosophy, a change in X's and O's. It was a change in attitude. And the guys, again, at that point, I think, accepted responsibility. And when I say what comes first, the chicken or the egg, I think the guys look at me like I'm crazy, like they don't know what I'm talking about. But you know, what comes first, success or the effort? And once we realized the effort has to come first, and then success will happen after that, I think it was a lot more successful.
Did you see pretty quick after that timeout? Did you see it kind of change quickly after that?
Yeah, you know, and as I recall, after the timeout, we went down and I think had a good offensive possession and had a silly turnover or something didn't work quite right. And then on the defensive end, had a pretty good defensive possession. But it wasn't like some, you know, I'm not sitting here saying I gave him a magic pill and everything worked from there. But it was, again, a change in a mindset that it's not going to be easy. You know, came out of the timeout all fired up and we messed up. That's okay. You know, come back the next possession, and it's going to be a grind. Told the guys that was not going to be a pretty game. It was going to be a physical, demanding game, and you have to be mentally tough and physically tough to handle it.
How much you mentioned Denzel a minute ago. How much did you think he played a role during that stretch? It seemed like that stretch he really, you know, picked up defense and kind of built on his.
I thought he played a huge role in the whole thing. I really do, and he's an instrumental part of our team. He came in, and it certainly wasn't just Nick. It was most of the starting five, or most of the guys that got in early in the game. You know, there wasn't that spark, and Denzel certainly did that. Not only making a shot or two, but just his energy defensively, some leadership, and I was really proud of how he handled himself.
You mentioned Lewis in the second half. He kind of sparked the run after Steven Boston kind of got back together. Just what he provided.
Yeah, he's always an energy guy, which I love, always has a positive attitude, and has a knack for the ball. A little bit like Chris Coakley has a knack and a feel for where the basketball is going to be. Lewis has that same kind of feel. Was able to get a few shots around the rim, and the way they played, they pressured so much. He probably dives the goal harder than anybody we have, and for that reason, ended up getting a few easy buckets out of it and really helped us.
What does a win like this do for your team? Just going into conference play, you know, to this stage, what does it do for your team?
I think it caps off the non-conference season, and we'll look at our non-conference as a whole now and evaluate kind of what we've done to this point and then put it to bed. And hopefully right now our confidence is high, but not too high. But our work ethic and our dreams and goals are at a high level. But that's what we're going to do. We're going to put the non-conference behind us now, feel like we've improved throughout the non-conference, which was my biggest goal. And then as we go into conference, get a whole new set of goals. But the biggest one is going to be having the mindset of every practice, every game, just getting a little bit better.
Robert kind of mentioned that this year is kind of a flip script. I mean, would you say that he kept this right in that sense or not?
In terms of
the success y'all had early this year compared to last year and then towards the back end of last year?
This year, I think I'm really looking at it as a whole independent year. And last year there were some negatives and some positives, but I'm really not looking like as a comparison for a lot of different reasons. But our team is so many of the similar faces, but we're in such a different spot in a different place with different goals right now that I'm trying to think when it was, but maybe even before we started games this year, I told the team I'm done with last year. Last year was a great ride at the end, but I'm done with it. And so don't mind them saying that at all, but my attitude is solely focused on this year.
with how young this team still is, it's impressive to see how composed they stay throughout games, even when they're down 18. Is that just the character that they are?
I'm still trying to figure that out a little bit. You know, Coach Williams always said if he could have gone back to college, he would have majored in psychology. And I think maybe I would have done the same thing because, you know, sometimes I'm sitting here, guys, we're down 18. Is there a pulse? You know, do we have any energy or anything going on in your brain right now? But on the positive side, I'll say that it's a level of maturity and a level of experience because we are still a young team, but I think we have a fair level of experience from last year and this year that we can fall back on. And the optimist in me right now will say that's what it is.
Did you change anything up when Walkup went out so early with foul trouble, or was it just kind of a relief that one of their leading scorers wasn't on the floor for a majority of the first half?
Yeah, we didn't really change anything up. You know, a few of the things that they do are probably adjusted some, but in terms of our approach and things like that, you know, we didn't sit there timeout and say, well, he's out. Let's change our philosophy. We stuck with it.
You guys outscored them in the paint by, I think, 12 or 14, and then also won the rebounds by quite a bit. I mean, is that something, I mean, obviously you're bigger than they were. I mean, coming into the game, did you feel like you had to do that to win this game?
Yeah, I would have said that would be a very, very telling stat in this game. Free throws, I would have said, would have been a very telling stat. The rebounds would have been a telling stat. And the reason is if you're unable to get the ball to the paint because of so much pressure and turnovers, you're not gonna have those things. And so you have to get through that pressure, get to the paint to get the assists and to finish inside, get fouled, get to the free throw line, and then have the advantage in the paint. But a lot of teams that play against them have trouble getting to the paint, even though we were bigger than they were inside. You know, there's certainly no guarantee that you're going to do that. There were a few guys that had manly rebounds today. I mean, a couple of Tosin's rebounds were in traffic, two hands, and really high-level rebounds too.
Team battle tonight.
It was a hard-fought win. You know, coming in, we knew it was going to be a hard game from the start, so we knew what to expect.
What was the difference when you guys on that 18-0 run to end the first half? I mean, what were you doing differently during that 5 or 6 minutes, whatever it was?
Just playing harder, playing as a team. You know, especially on the defensive end. You know, and we let the offense come to us.
This team was a little different than most teams you guys have played. How difficult is it to play these smaller, quicker teams that are always right up on you, you know, just trying to get in there?
It's very difficult because, you know, everywhere you go, you know, they right there, and, you know, they're a real scrappy team. So it's always hard to get a good win against a real scrappy team like that.
What does this win do for you just going forward in the conference play?
Just pushing into chapter 1. We ended great. You know, now it's on to chapter 2 in the conference season. So.
You guys outscored them, I think, about 14, 16 points something in the paint. I mean, is that something that you saw coming in that you thought, you know, with the size advantage and that type of thing?
Oh, yeah, we were much bigger than them, so, you know, we had to go down low. You know, they're physical, but height-wise and weight-wise, we were much bigger, so we had to get the ball down low.
Does this game, you think, prepare you for Conference USA play?
Yes, especially for the next game, Middle Tennessee. You know, they're a very similar team as far as toughness and scrappy, so this game prepared us a lot for it.
Mindset at that point.
Just stay calm and stay focused. We didn't want to get too high or too low. Basketball is a game of runs, so we knew over time we were going to make our run, and we just needed to lock in defensively.
What was the key in that last 5 or 6 minutes of the first half when you went on that long run in the first half to get back in? And kind of what was the key during the
defense. We finally decided to sit down and guard, and we listened to the scouting report and did what we were supposed to do. And Coach kind of jumped us in that last time out, so that kind of sparked us to get going defensively. And once we started getting stops, we just started running and letting our offense take care of itself.
Intensity-wise, was this just one of the more intense games y'all played this year, one of the harder y'all had to fight?
Yeah, we knew they were going to be a real physical team. Coach even said to a point where you need to really watch out, maybe even some dirty shots, but they were just an extremely physical team we had to battle for. And to get ready for a game like this, the entire week in practice has been extremely physical getting ready for it. So the intensity for it was a lot higher than most games just because of the physicality, but it's something we were trying to match for every game.
Any more questions for Robert?
Just a win like this, what does it do for your team going forward?
It's the way we wanted to end this non-conference. It was almost the exact opposite last year with our record, so to be able to have that flip-flop and have all these wins, I think it's something we can take and build with our confidence going forward.